Hello, my name's Lesley Atherton, and this is just a very short story called Forgotten Scones. "Why are you doing this?" Lauren whispered, her voice croaking and breathy as the man's eyes silently stared into hers. Despite him being almost anonymous behind his full-face mask, the cold, grey-blue orbits were still visible, and Lauren could only guess what the expression beneath them meant. She had a strong feeling that it was not good, and that she was likely to die. She also believed she was likely to die in some pain. As Lauren lay under scaldingly hot, bright lights, terror welled up in her, and this was true terror, not ordinary, everyday fear. Martha Wrightington sighed and downward pushed the crumbs currently nesting on her cotton pinny. Some dropped into the pinny's lacy pocket and others straight onto the floor, but she at least looked a little smarter than she had 3 seconds earlier. How typical that a perpetually silent doorbell should chime just as she was rolling the scone mix. She knew that if she left it just a few seconds longer than was required, the batch would be ruined. Her friends at the WI might claim scones to be easy cooking, but Martha did not. To her, their creation was far more science than art. Straightening her hair, she had already begun to open the door when she realised from a tiny glance in the mirror that her forehead and upper lip still held snowy white traces of self-raising flour. She made efforts to rub them away as the door swung open to reveal her caller. "Aunt Martha," said the voice of a young man. It was a voice she almost recognised, but a face and body she definitely did not. "It's me, Simon Wrightington. Your brother Donald's son, Simon? You haven't seen me for a few years." Her hesitancy led to his. He tried again. "You were supposed to be visiting last Christmas, but you sent me a book voucher instead." She'd stayed at home the previous Christmas, owing to a particularly bad bout of the flu. In fact, she quickly recollected that the last time she'd seen Simon was around 4 years earlier, just after she retired. Back then he was only 13 years old, still with a baby face, skinny legs, and the tentative beginnings of adolescent acne. Yet here on her doorstep was a very well-built young man of way over 6 feet tall. "Name of Donald's wife, your mother?" asked Martha. "Carmen." "Where does she live?" "Epsom." "Donald's date of birth?" 3rd of May, 1939. "Place?" Somewhere in Cambridgeshire, in a top floor bedroom on a handmade patchwork quilt, which had to be soaked in vinegar and salt afterwards to remove the staining." "Simon!" shrieked Martha. "So it is you." "Why would I say it if it wasn't?" "One cannot be too careful," Martha said. "Not ever." She ushered inside the ginger-bearded near stranger, and he walked directly into her steamy kitchen. "Just as I remember it," Simon said. "Been batch cooking," Martha explained. "Soup on the boil, and I'm baking at the moment too, hence the smell and steam and the table full." She gestured to a huge pile of various baked and stewed goodies. "Take a seat. Eat if you're hungry." Simon scratched his beard as he took a seat at a kitchen chair and reached out for one of the newly baked crusty rolls. Poppy seeds," he said as his fingers touched the roll, then immediately withdrew. "Hot," said Martha. "Mind your fingers." "Aunt Martha," Simon began, "I was hoping you'd be able to help us." "Oh, that sounds promising. It's been 4 years since I've been of earthly use to anyone." Blasted retirement. "It's almost unbelievable. And we knew, all of us knew, that if anyone could help, then you could. It was Dad who told me to come." "And how is the old bugger?" "Oh, he's okay, still modelling along as ever. Drives Mum mad." They both say hello. Martha fiddled behind her back to remove her pinny and cursed when her fingers couldn't undo the bow. "Would you, Simon?" she asked as she removed her chair so he could reach. He obliged, and she removed the pinny and with some relief laid it on the huge wooden table, symbolic of the job's completion. She handed Simon a crescent-shaped item. "Have one. It's an experimental Cornish pasty. They're very good," she said. She slipped a side plate unceremoniously under the pasty. "Extra turnip, thyme and black pepper, that's the secret." There was a short silence, broken by a throaty intake of breath from Martha as she crunched on a whole peppercorn, hidden in her own pasty. "It's about Lauren," Simon said. "Go on then, young Simon, I'm waiting." And over the next hour, Martha Wrightington, retired police officer and the first ever female detective in the whole of her county, was to hear a tale of such confusion that she requested her nephew repeat it many times before she'd got the particulars straight in her own mind. And within 2 hours of the time Simon had arrived, he left again in his scrappy car, this time taking his hastily packed Aunt Martha with him. Her feast of food lay with the uncooked scones, compacted and forgotten, on her heaving kitchen table.